I agreed immediately because even though I knew what the outcome would be, I needed to see for myself that she really wasn't in there anymore. The test day came and they slowly reduced her medications while Dr. Wong and two other doctors watched the monitors. Oliver sat on my lap playing with his toy car, making vrooming sounds while we waited for any sign that Ms. Delilah could hear us. Dr. Wong called her name loudly and shined lights in her eyes and squeezed her nail beds to check for pain response. Her eyes stayed unfocused, staring at nothing even when he moved his hand in front of her face. He asked her to squeeze his hand, and her fingers stayed limp. Her pupils didn't react right to the light, and there was no response to any of the painful stimuli they tried. After 30 minutes of testing, Dr. Wong put his hand on my shoulder and said what I already knew but needed to hear. There was no meaningful brain function left, and Miss Nyla wasn't going to wake up. The machines were keeping her body alive, but she wasn't really there anymore. Oliver looked up from his car and asked if they fixed Nana yet, and I had to tell him no while trying not to completely fall apart. That afternoon, Constance brought in this woman who specialized in grief counseling for young caregivers. We sat right there next to Miss Nyla's bed while this counselor validated how impossible this whole situation was for someone my age. She said it was okay to feel angry and scared and overwhelmed all at the same time. She taught me this breathing technique where you count to 4 breathing in and hold it, and count to 4 breathing out, which actually helped when I felt like I was going to pass out from panic. The counselor said anticipatory grief was just as real as regular grief, and I wasn't weak for already mourning Ms. Nyla even though she was still technically alive. She gave me permission to feel everything I was feeling without judgment, and promised it was normal to wish someone else could make this decision for me. My phone rang while I was walking back to Ms. Nyla's room, and I almost didn't answer the unknown number. My mother's voice came through small and broken, asking if it was true about Miss Nyla being in the hospital. She said she heard from my cousin who saw the Facebook posts, and she wanted to see Oliver, and maybe we could work something out. Her words mixed apologies with conditions about coming home if I'd just say sorry to Dad for the trouble I caused. She asked if we could meet somewhere without him knowing because he'd be so angry if he found out she called. The conversation made me want to throw my phone at the wall because even now she couldn't just be my mother without strings attached. I told her she could only meet Oliver if my father had nothing to do with it, and we'd meet in a public place with other people around. She agreed, but her voice shook with fear about going behind his back, and I realized she was still as trapped as I used to be before Ms. Nyla saved me. We set up a meeting for next week at the park if she could get away without him noticing. The HR person from the school called right after and said their investigation found nothing wrong, and lots of teachers wrote statements about how professional Ms. Nyla always was. They were keeping the file open just for paperwork, but it was clear they saw through my father's lies completely.